Hello, welcome to CLSP Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. I apologize. I tried to get a show out yesterday, but the internet just would not behave. So this is my early voting report for the 25th. The 24th will remain a mystery. To tell you guys, I really did try. I had 3 shows scheduled yesterday, and I worked as hard as I could, but there's only me. So here we go. Let's look at some numbers, and there's some really interesting stuff going on right now. The so the current, this is where we're at. The Democratic early vote, 869,118, which is 139% of the 2022 final number, which means we're blowing things up. But check this out. I did the math and I looked at what we were doing in 2024. Now, keep in mind that was the Biden primary. Most of the stuff had been decided. Nothing too crazy going on in Texas. We are 298.4% ahead of the 2024 total. And that was a presidential cycle. So fascinating. I just hadn't bothered to look that number up until today. I was like, wow, okay, that's happening now. Jeez Louise. So the GOP early vote, they're right on track to do their normal. There's nothing unusual happening there. They're at 71%. They'll be at probably like 104, 105% when the actual March 3rd primary election day. So Republicans are operating pretty much right on schedule, which is great for them, I guess. No, it's not really that great for, though. So I was looking at these numbers and I was like, oh, okay, well, at least that's normal and stuff. And then I'm like reading this morning, and Cornyn has dropped $56 million in ad buy for this primary. And he is statistically, every poll I've seen, he is statistically tied. You're an incumbent, a 24-year incumbent with immaculately terrible GOP. I mean, terrible for a Democrat. Wonderful, bright, shiny beacon of hate and garbage Republican, voting record. And you're statistically tied with a guy that's got a criminal record, cheated on his wife, blah, 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 blah. I mean, wow. Just wow. Cornyn, what does that say about your party? Seriously, what the hell's going on? I don't know what's going on over there, but it's nuts. So I just thought I'd give everyone the breakdown, as per usual, for the primary voter by age. Again, if you're under 50, you're infinitely more likely to have voted in the Democratic primary. If you're over, 50, then more than likely you vote in the Republican primary. So what's interesting is, as the years go by and that universe continues to shift over, this is the beginning of the end of the GOP in Texas, because primaries generally indicate interest and people are paying attention. So just throwing that out there. It is a primary. They are their own little standalone islands of crazy, but still definitely worth noting on a demographic scale. And so, yeah, we've got, let me check out some real quick numbers. Okay. We've got the gender numbers. Women in the Democratic primary are running 100%. They are, just killing it. They've got a huge margin ahead of the men, and they're continuing to grow. We've watched this just continue to expand. And then, of course, in the Republican universe, it's not 50-50, but it's close. So, yeah. And by the way, we have a lot more women in Texas that vote than men. And that's it's been that way for a very long time. In fact, we've got some counties like Bell County, for example. I looked at them a couple years ago, and there were about 10%, 15% more women registered to vote than men. So it's really kind of interesting when you start looking at who's registered and who's not. So looking at the parties by race, uh, yeah, just wow. The Republican Party. I mean, come on, guys. So white people are voting in the Republican primary. Everybody else is voting in the all the other races. I mean, are voting in the Democratic primary. And that unknown number, that number far to the right on this graph, is the unknowns. Well, there's an algorithm they can put in to find all the Hispanic names because it's like it's they're not hard to spot. It's like Japanese and Chinese and Korean, Indonesian names, uh, Southeast Asian names. They're all pretty easy to spot. The names that aren't easy to spot are who's white and who's black. And I've talked about this a little bit before. So this unknown universe is a lot of that. So whereas we can see the African American turnout in this graph, I can assure you a large percentage of that unknown is going to be over there in the African American. And then there's going to be a pretty good sized chunk that's going to be Caucasian. So that's kind of where that's just, they just don't know, because African American or Black Americans and Caucasians here in America can have the same last name. I've met more Briscoes that are black than white. So definitely it's a thing, and it's just how the data spills out. But when you look at that unknown number, because it's so much bigger than the Republican number, it kind of tells you that there's something going on there, and that's what's going on there. Just because if you're like, well, why do the Democrats have so many more unknowns? It's because we're a more diverse electorate, and with that diversity becomes some variables, and the variables spill out into that area. I just want to make sure that was clear. Have some thoughts. So a friend of mine who's Hispanic got a Tallarico text 2 days ago. I was going to talk about this yesterday, but and it was put out by a PAC, not even one that I reported on. So there is a lot of PAC money floating around out there. The PACs, and then a new PAC just jumped in today for Tallarico. So there's a lot of money coming into Texas that's political action committee money, super PAC money that's flowing into, also Jasmine Crockett's getting, her PACs are just now showing up. But then I was reading that the governor of Texas has spent $5 million in ad buys against Jasmine Crockett specifically. Now they keep saying that, oh, she can't win, she can't win, she can't win. Oh, electability problems, all that nonsense. Someone who can't get elected statewide in Texas, she's living pretty rent-free in the heads of the GOP in Texas. Maybe we stop listening to what they're saying. Maybe we start watching what they're doing. And what they're doing is they're trying to knock out the only candidate they see that could bring a coalition of people. Like, would you like to go back and look at the primary data for race that can bring this kind of coalition together? Because the Republicans know that if you can't bring the Hispanics, the African Americans, and the liberal whites together in a general, then you can't win. The Democrats just can't win. You need all oars in the water, all of them rowing at the same time. And I think that's their biggest fear. And that's why the GOP is doing what they're doing. That's why they're spending the money they're spending. And I think that as we get closer, and we're down to the last few days, guys. Uh, so, today and tomorrow are the last 2 days of early voting, and then it's the third, which will be Tuesday. So everybody's going to get a phone call in about a 48-hour period, and so it's going to be interesting. Doors being knocked, phones are being called, and I like, as I am a Jasmine Crockett supporter, I do like the number of women that are voting. I'm not saying women will vote for a woman just because she's a woman. I'm just saying that math helps. I like the fact that the African Americans are showing up. That's really, really, really good. And I mean, based on my channel's comments, and I understand that's not scientific, and um, plus, I think a few Talarico people probably don't watch my channel, and I hope they come back for the general election, because I'm doing this right straight through. But keep in mind, I don't hate Talarico at all. I don't have a problem with them, except for the fact that I don't think when the general comes, that he will be able to speak to a community that we can't win without. And he needs them to turn out at 100%. There's no way that you win Texas without 100% of the minorities showing up in Texas. We're a minority majority state, and the Republicans are a majority minority state party. So this is going to be the battle, and you need to be able to generate the votes needed to win in the general. That's been my argument since the get-go, because I just look at the numbers. I know where the votes have to come from, and I know where they are. And that's, there's no second place here. So anyway, that's my update for today. Just doing this show today. I believe I did. I was supposed to do 3 yesterday. I got 2 out. Hope everyone enjoyed watching Eli. If you haven't, you gotta go check out Eli Worthy. He was the candidate I interviewed yesterday. I know it's not like a top tier sexy campaign, but he's the youngest candidate running in Texas. Absolutely worth checking out if you haven't already. But anyway, I'd just like to thank everybody for watching. Like and subscribe, and a lot of you are subscribing, and I really appreciate that. Keep in mind, I'm not monetized. This channel does not generate any money for me. I'm sure I generate money for YouTube, but they show no love, which is fine. I don't want any of their love. I just appreciate the platform. And but if you'd like to donate to this channel, you can do it through PayPal, or you can join my Substack. All right, I'll talk to all you guys later. Get out and vote if you haven't already, and see you tomorrow.